Hi everyone, we're live on the AGA Sessions number 2. If you missed our first session, just to give you a recap on what these sessions are all about, we are architects and we're doing these sessions um, to focus on the client and um, and the end user and how at their home. Um, First session was with clients of ours, Lisette and Richard, and we discussed the communication and how that has changed over the past 5 weeks since we went into lockdown. And we have the pleasure of welcoming Ron Knomba this evening, who's a fantastic musician and also an architect and a friend of ours. So I'll just bring him in.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you very much.
I'm
And
having
how are you
I'm having
doing?
a few. I'm good. I'm having a couple of camera kind of positioning issues, but
Okay.
let's
So
let's carry on.
while you sort out your gear, I gave a brief introduction. I'll just tell everyone how we met. So
Okay.
Ron and I met about 15 years ago, I think. Ron is also an architect, and we were both working for Clegg Bradley Studios in London. Ron is still working there, but he's also a musician. So, Ron, thanks a lot for joining our second session.
Thank you for asking me.
And Ron and I discussed how we'll kick it off, and we thought that Ron could play us a song before we start questioning him. Do you want to start, Ron, or just maybe give a bit of introduction about yourself and how, yeah, about your music and so on. How did it all start? And
Sure. Great. Well, thanks Amos for inviting me to what I think is really an interesting series of chats. So yes, I'm an architect and a musician, and there are a lot of architects are musicians, or the other way around.
It's true.
I grew up in Africa, I think, like yourself.
No, my father was from South Africa. I wasn't born there. Yeah.
You never, but you lived in Joburg for a little bit.
No.
Okay. Well, that doesn't take anything away from so I grew up in Malawi, which is a bit north of South Africa, in the 70s, and it was interesting. There was apartheid, and music played a large part of my upbringing. Music really was the message. We listened to a lot of Bob Marley growing up, a great South African artist called Lucky Dube, and of course Johnny Clegg and Juluka, and then Savuka, who all used music as a message to really demonstrate against apartheid and to keep people's hopes up. And so that's how I got involved in music, almost through the struggle, and I've always kept up with it. So I'm going to play you a song by Johnny Clegg,
who sadly passed away last year.
He did, very, very, very sadly. Yeah. He had pancreatic cancer. Yeah. It was amazing. He went on a final tour. He knew he was dying, and he went on a final tour to say goodbye to all of his kind of I never use the word friends, and it was very emotional. I missed it because it was sold out, but I've been to about 4 or 5 of his gigs. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know him, Johnny Clegg was an white English born guy who, when he was about 7, moved to Zimbabwe, then Rhodesia, and then he moved to South Africa. And when he was 14, he met a migrant worker called Sipho, who taught him Zulu guitar. And they started a band together.
And he spoke Zulu as well, no?
He spoke Zulu. So Sipho taught him Zulu. Sipho, this is probably mid-70s, would take him down to the hostel of the migrant workers on the weekend. And he learned Zulu dancing. And in fact, he started off learning dancing. But he spoke fluent Zulu. He really was embraced into the culture, and he was highly respected. And his band then went on to be the first cross-race band in South Africa. They were banned, and in a funny way, they played a lot in isolation. Their gigs had to be undercover. Otherwise, they kept getting arrested. So I'm going to play you a song by Johnny Clegg, and I hope the sound level's okay. If it's too loud, just go like that.
Okay. Okay.
It's too quiet, go with that.
Okay.
And this is a song called Great Heart, and I think it's kind of quite apt with what we're going through. It's a song to give people hope, and I'm going to use a few toys that I've had to kind of get. I use mainly to rehearse, and we can talk about this in the chat, but I'm starting to have to use them live to accompany myself. So I'm going to use a loop pedal and a harmonizer. I'll start it again, and it might go wrong because live stuff usually does.
Okay.
The world is full of strange behavior. Every man's gotta be his own savior. I know I can make it on my own if I try, but I'm looking for the great heart standing by beneath the African sky. Great heart standing by. I'm searching for the spirit of a great heart to keep me alive. I'm searching for the spirit of a great heart. African sky. Sometimes I feel I really know you. Sometimes there's so much you can show me. There's a highways of stars across the stars. There's a whispering song of the wind in the grass. There's a rolling thunder across the sky. A hope and a dream at the edge of the sky. And your life is so like a wave. Your life is so like a wave. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart. Can't speak by. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart. African sky. Sometimes I feel that you really know me. Sometimes there's so much you can show me. old spirit of the great heart. On to Africa's sky. Sometimes I feel that you really know me. Sometimes there's so much you can show me. Thank you, if anyone's wondering. Thank you.
Fantastic,
Thank you.
Ron. That was wonderful.
Did it sound all right? That's the thing, you never know. You
Yeah.
don't know how it sounds.
I guess I'd like to jump right into to live gigs and live performances, because I know that you do a lot of them, or you used to before things have changed. And it will be interesting to talk about that, I think. So I always think of gigs as they're very social and very performative events. And it must be kind of limiting for you as a performer when you live stream from your living room and you don't have the presence of the crowds and the atmosphere and the noise and the sort of experience and energy. So how has that affected the way you express yourself when you're playing? Was it hard? Because I know, so you're doing live gigs, I think, every weekend or every other weekend. Has that affected the way you perform? And
So yeah, so I now play in a band. I have a band with three of my really close friends and brothers, and
and another architect, right, on bass.
Two other architects.
Okay.
Yeah, George,
Yeah.
and Amit,
Yeah.
and then Tom, who's an old friend, and
Yeah.
so we gig, we play live festivals. We had a really nice lineup of kind of community festivals in London over April, May, and of course we rehearse. So tonight we usually rehearse once every fortnight on a Wednesday. So tonight would have been a rehearsal, and we get together. And of course, music is much more than the performance for the audience. It's firstly the coming together of the. If you're a solo musician, I think it's a different thing. And I was a solo musician. I've been both. So in a way, what's happened with the COVID thing is I've become a solo musician again.
Okay.
And I haven't been solo for maybe 10 years. So I really miss my band. I miss the fusion that we have, the relationship musically. When we rehearse, it's about 4 people playing together. And then of course you're right, when we gig, it is about connecting with an audience, and it's a very physical connection. And you get back from the audience what you give in a way. So if you're playing well because the people are applauding and kind of giving that back. So that's the main thing that's changed. We can't rehearse and we can't play music together at the moment, and we can talk about this scenario of isolation and why bands can't play live from different places. So that's sort of out the window. We are trying to record, and that means we record our own bits and then send them to one place and and collate them. But we haven't yet got around to that because it takes time. It takes time to set up and record and do it to a time and then bring it all together. So mainly because I need to gig, I kind of realized that I have to play music. And I have to play music to people. I can play music to myself, and I can rehearse at home, and this is what my setup is. But I inherently love interacting with people. So I've done three different events. The first one we did in the garden, and I played for my neighbors. And that was great because everyone was out on their balconies or in their gardens, all social distancing, but it was on a sunny Saturday afternoon, and we had some drinks, and that was not so different because there was still an audience. But last Saturday I did my first just live stream gig in the living room, and it was very strange. It was because you're playing to a camera. You do have an interaction, so I can see someone said my dick bag. Thank you, my dick big. Okay, I don't know who you are. You're on the wrong channel, man. But, so you can see people. So if you're making naughty comments, balal, offend, mali, whatever, they can be seen. So you do have a new kind of interaction, and I guess there are some positives, and you do have a question about what are the positives, and I won't go into that yet, but there are some positives. But it's tricky. It's a new, for me, it's a new thing. For some people, before COVID, there were people doing this all the time, streaming and playing from their living room. So I think it really depends on the individual and what kind of music you're playing and who your audience is.
Yeah, but also this new kind of performance, I guess is a new type of intimacy, maybe for yourself, but also with the audience. I mean, you can't see them, but like you said, you become a solo artist, which I would think is a bit more intimate than being part of the group. So is there any gain from this new intimacy?
Yeah, there is. There are a few gains. The one gain is that you can reach an audience that physically would not be able to come to your gigs. So if we had a gig in London, there's a whole lot of people that I've known for years who've been to my gigs who now live in Canada or Australia or South Africa who couldn't be there. The gig I did on Saturday, there were 100 people scattered across the globe, from South Africa to Australia, across time zones, and we were interacting. They were sending in song requests, and in a way that is quite a big plus to be able to do that over the physical being there. So that is a gain, and I think the main thing that maybe a lot of people who don't play music but who go to gigs don't realize is when you're at a gig, you feel something. And when you're on the stage, you feel that. When you're an artist, there's an energy. When you're inside of a song, you're still performing the song, whether it's to an audience. And to be honest, sometimes you're on the stage, you can't see anyone anyway. It's completely dark in front of you. So I think for me, the most important thing is the emotion. So when I just played that for you, because it's a song that touches me, and I hope it's a song that other people enjoy, I managed to get inside of the song, and I managed to feel emotion within the song. And so that's why we do it. If I felt nothing, I wouldn't do it, because why would you do something that you feel nothing for? So I think that's the key point, is for the musician to still feel the emotion of playing the song, and for the audience, whoever's watching or listening, to still feel the emotion of the song. If those things are there, then the medium becomes slightly irrelevant.
I guess one point to raise is that I think as an artist, when you, let's say, when you're streaming from your living room, you're streaming from your very private and personal space. So in a way, you're exposing part of your personal life to your audience or to your fans. I mean, it was interesting. The other week there was this Global Citizen kind of live concert, which was very kind of staged in a way, but some of the performers did perform from their kitchen or their living room, so you had this glimpse of their personal life, which was interesting. Build Pass UK made a good point that he through this time he discovered a lot of musicians that he didn't know about through seeing their online events, and then he planned to see them live when we're allowed again. So that's so I guess like you said, you can reach new audience, new fans all over the world. You touched earlier about recording and recording at home, and so through these sessions we want to understand how clients, end users, and people use their space differently now, and what are the limitations depending on their work situation or the sector that they're working in. So in terms of your music and live streaming, do you need any special features at home? Like, is the acoustic okay? Do you need to worry about it? Do your neighbors complain when you play live?
So I think there's two ways of doing it. I mean, what I played with there is my rehearsal setup. So I have some instruments at home and I rehearse alone with a looper to get myself tight for when I play with my band.
So a looper is the one that kind of records.
Yeah. So you it's a little pedal. You press it and you play something or you sing something and 4 bars or however long, and then it will play it back to you. And it's like a metronome. It's something that is good to play along with because it teaches you to keep time.
Yeah.
So I have that set up anyway to rehearse. And when the COVID thing happened, luckily I had my amp. I have everything at home.
Yeah.
My guitars, amp, the looper pedal we've talked about, microphone stand, some of the basic things. I could do it acoustically, and an artist can get a guitar, and a lot of people are, and just playing a guitar from here. So there's a spectrum. You can do an acoustic live gig. You can do something that's plugged in where you can start to use some effects pedals, or maybe, and that's when you start needing to think a bit more about the room acoustic.
Yeah.
And then you've got people who are really doing some incredible stuff. So there's a guy, I don't know if you know the band Crowded House.
Yeah, sure.
From New Zealand. But Neil Finn, I've been a long time fan of Neil Finn.
Yeah.
And you should listen. He does a show every night, well, every day for him. He's locked up in LA with his wife and his 2 sons who are also musicians. And they've got a thing called Fang Radio.
Okay.
And at 4 o'clock LA time, which is unfortunately midnight here, he does a show. And he sometimes does and he's set it up so well. It's on a mixer. People, he's got about 700 people listening. Gosh. It's not videoed, it's just audio.
Okay.
And he's going through a proper recording studio, console, microphones, everything in Cubase, monitoring your levels, and then outputting to the digital platform. So that's very controlled. So I think that's the thing. the question is, you can make anything work.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done anything. I just took my living room and I played in it, and it seems to sound okay. There's enough sofa and wall and stuff in there, so I haven't particularly changed stuff. But if you look at Neil Finn, and yeah, I really go listen to his stuff. Sometimes he'll get his two sons and his wife, and they'll play a Crowded House song, and it's amazing. The quality, it sounds like it's off a CD, and they're just also amazing musicians.
Mm-hmm.
He is an amazing musician, but he can replicate his whole back catalogue, kind of
amazing.
So that's the range of what people are doing.
Okay.
For your clients, sorry, we could go more into recording studios and how do you make a room in your house a studio.
As we both architects as well, are there any physical changes that one can make to turn a room, a space into a recording studio on the cheap, let's say, without going into all that gear and expense?
Sure, definitely. I think most musicians have a home studio at some point.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing is you want to stop noise coming in if you're recording, because even now I can hear the rain outside, which might be a nice thing on a recording. But if you're near a train line or if you've got airplanes flying over, sod's law, just when you're about to nail that vocal, the train is going to go past. So the first thing you want to do is stop the noise coming in from the outside. If you've got windows, make sure they're double glazed. If you can choose an inner room, if you've got a storeroom or some room that is completely internal, but of course well ventilated, that's a bonus. Get a good door that will stop sound leaking in, and then within the room, depending on what you're using it for, but if you're using it for recording, you want it to be quite dry. You don't want a lot of echo fluttering around. You want a lot of absorption. So there are very, very simple things you can do, and there's lots of stuff online as well about building absorbers, and people always talk about egg crates, egg packets, or you can buy foam and you can stick foam on your walls. It's a great art to find the perfect room and the perfect sound. People have been trying to do that for years, but just go ahead and try it. You can change a room in your house into a specialized recording studio on a very, very low budget, and there's loads of books about room acoustics and what you want at the front. You want it to be a bit more hard so it reflects the sound at the back of the room. You want it to absorb a bit. You don't want parallel walls, so you might put a screen in, something you can move. You might have some movable panels so that if you've got someone playing saxophone and you're recording it, you might want a slightly different reverberation time to a vocal. So there are lots of tricks you can do to very simply, it's really only about how sound is absorbed and reflected and kept out and kept in. And you asked about the neighbors. Always. The best thing is a box in a box. If you've got a big enough room, build a room in it, so that the sound, so that it's totally separate. Or if you've got a big garden, get a really nice big shed. You can actually buy mobile studios now, I think, that are totally insulated and put them in your garden.
Cool. Great. Thanks, Ron. We had a nice question here. Do you think you'll play and write music differently after this is all over?
Ooh, that's a very interesting question, because we don't know what it's going to look like when this is over. I mean, I can imagine that the mass gathering gigs, the kind of Hyde Park, we met once at Carole King.
Yes, that's true.
I don't see that happening in the next year, really.
I was supposed to go this summer see Pearl Jam there. So.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I've looked down the list of gigs I was going to go to. You know,
yeah.
Skunk and Nancy were curating
Yeah.
the South Bank
Yeah.
thing. I was
Yeah.
going to go to that. I was going to go to. Anyway, let's not go there.
No.
Will it change how we write? I hope that with my band, and sorry, Amos, was this a half-hour thing?
Yeah, it was, but we're having fun, so
Cool.
let's carry on.
Yeah, and it's nice hanging out with you. Yeah,
Me too. Same here.
When this is over, I'm going to come and see you in the office. We'll say, and you've got a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Will it change the way? I think, like everything, like our relationships with our friends that we can't see now.
Yeah.
I hope it will change the relationship in our band, that we realize what we have is so special, and that we're a bit lazy. We don't write as many songs as we used to. We tend to gig on the songs that we have written and that we know people like. And so maybe bands will become more focused and will write songs. Interestingly, the Rolling Stones released a song last week, which you should check out. It's very interesting. It's called Living in a Ghost Town. It's their first original song in 8 years. Apparently they actually recorded it about a year ago, and it was about being on tour and feeling alone. But with the COVID thing, they got all the tapes individually, obviously, added some bits in. Mick Jagger changed the lyrics a bit, and then they filmed. Not sure how they filmed this, and this is the only bit I'm uncomfortable with. There's lots of footage going through London, empty tube stations and Covent Garden. If they've done that by attaching a camera to a policeman, then that's fine. I hope they didn't get a cameraman out there, but they released it, and you should definitely check it out. And it's being heralded as their best song of the decade. I mean, to me, it sounds like a Stones song, and that's great. You know, a Stones song when you hear it.
Yeah.
But that's what bands are doing, and so in a way, they've taken advantage of the situation. A, to give people music, and B, to comment on what's happening. But I think, like everything, it will inherently change. It will change music. It will change the way we perform, who we perform to, how we perform. And there's always the scare of a second outbreak or another thing. So it's like a society question. How's this going to change our society? I think but that was a very good question. I don't know the answer.
And I guess also for us as architects, I mean, that's something that, that's maybe something for another chat. But how would that affect the built environment and the design of concert halls and so on? We had an interesting question that was sent by Joseph, who works with me. He sent it by email. It's a two-part question. Is there a particular, and it kind of follows off from the previous question, has the lockdown been an inspiration for you for new music? And the second part of it is, or have you found a lockdown has affected your creative process when writing music?
Okay, yeah, very good questions. And I've just seen one For the Joy of Craft, which is similar, has being in lockdown inspired you to write more than usual. So yeah, it has. I mean, musicians write because of situations, and I'm a lazy writer. I wrote a lot when I was younger, but I think apart from Neil Finn, as you get older, they come slower. You know, you fall in love less and you get your heart broken less, and so the inspiration is less. But I've written 2 new songs in this period, and I haven't written a new song for probably a year.
Oh,
so
cool!
It has definitely inspired me.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about one song. I was sitting in my garden in the first week of isolation, and it really felt kind of when it was all new.
Yeah.
And I found this riff like dong 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 dong. That's just on a harmonic, and to me it sounded like a clock ticking, and so immediately I thought about time, and in Chichewa the word for time is Ntawi. And so I just Ntawi, dun 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 dun. It's like we're counting time, and so I'm starting to write that, and in an interesting way. I always like writing with people. I like writing with my band. So I'm now sending that to them and saying, can you put a bass line to this? Can you put a... So I want us to challenge ourselves to write a song in isolation.
Yeah.
To see whether we can do that. Do we need to be in the same room to write a song? Can we...
Do you use Zoom? Do you use Zoom or any other, like WhatsApp?
So we've used to communicate. We've used House Party.
Okay.
And we've used Zoom. And this is the thing I wanted to get to. We tried to have a rehearsal online with Zoom, and it's impossible because of the time lag.
Oh, okay.
If you're trying to play with 4 people at the same time, it's currently not possible. But we're clever people.
Yeah, and
resourceful.
challenging.
And resourceful. I'm challenging, and this is the thing that I think is hurting bands more, like the Rolling Stones, is that they can't actually play live together. Now, I'm going to challenge some really smart program developer out there to develop a bit of software that will take the time lag from each stream and balance them and spit it back to the people so that everyone is correct. It is in time, and then bands can collaborate. Bands can have rehearsals over Zoom, and all of that stuff will be possible. But at the moment, that's the main thing. The internet, the mere distance of the sound going down the wire and coming back is what's limiting us all to pre-recording stuff.
Great. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any more questions for Ron or for me, or about music or architecture? Please send them across. I'll see if there's anyone here. No. Will you play us another song, Ron?
I will. I would love to play you another song. So I'll play you a song that we wrote as a band.
Yeah, one of your songs.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So we wrote this a couple of years ago, and songs always have stories. And so it started not wanting to go to work. It started on a Sunday afternoon, and that feeling of the Monday blues and thinking, I don't want to. And I was in a pub with friends, and we're having a good time, and that temptation on a Sunday afternoon to.
Oh, we've got a question.
What is predominant emotional theme to your lockdown music? That's a very deep, interesting question. I think it's lockdown. The 2 songs, one, Ntawi, is about time, and it's about that ticking of the thing. And the other one is about escapism. It's about having the glass of wine in the evening, or the things that let you fly, let you escape your isolation. I think so. Those are the themes. But funnily enough, Lolemba, which hello Cherry, who's listening from South Africa.
You know her.
I do know Cherry. She's my sister. My other sister. I've got my other sister in London.
Yeah.
But Cherry is a dear friend, and Lolemba was written about her brother.
Oh, okay.
So I started writing it about this feeling of not wanting to go to work, being in the pub on a Sunday, and it's saying, "Yeah, guys, we're having a great time, but I got to go to work tomorrow. I guess I won't see you for a few days." And I was writing that, and I kind of thought it's an okay theme for a song. It's a bit like I Don't Like Mondays, but where does it go? How does it end? What do we say? Do we say we'll meet again, or And then at that time, Cherry's brother, who was also a mentor of mine and a deep friend, died, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear.
And yeah, thank you. And so I grieved very heavily. But then the end of the song came, because the song became about him, and it became about the fact that I wouldn't see him again.
What does Lolemba mean?
Lolemba means Monday.
Okay.
So it's basically saying, hey guys, it's tomorrow's Monday. I've got to go away and work. I hope to see you on Friday. I hope we meet again. And then in his case, we didn't. So unfortunately, sometimes you need something bad to happen to kind of finish a song, and it then kind of finished it. So I'll play that for you now.
Okay, great. Okay. Oh, there's another.
Again?
Well, there's another question. You can answer it after the song.
Okay, I'll think about it when I'm playing it. Can you create a courtyard garden from a lower ground floor flat with a communal garden? The flat's a house. That's a question for you, Alex.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Robert. We can answer that after Ron's song. So stay on, and we'll discuss it in a few minutes.
Okay, so this is Lolemba, and this is for my friend Pete Mitchin, for Cherry, for Jenny, for Eco, for you, Amos, for everyone out there, for all the friends that I hope we meet in person again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful song. Amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, please, I'll only do one bit of marketing. If people could go and listen to that online, that would be awesome.
You're on Spotify, right? And iTunes?
Yeah. iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon. So you can buy it, download it if you want, but if you just want to stream it, that's fine, if you like it. And
I'm gonna
we
get
keep
it.
meaning to do video for it, but we haven't got around to that.
No,
yet.
really, really beautiful song. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to more gigs of yours online, and when we're out of this on the other side, just to see you live, that would be an amazing, amazing experience. Just to go back to Robert about your architectural question, it is possible, but I think it's best if you contact me online or through our website on agarchitecture.net, and I'll happily answer your question. Any more questions for Ron before we wrap up? Ron, do you want to say something as a summary or?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
I think thank you to everyone who is who's tuned in to listen to this, and thank you to you, Amos, for having these sessions, because I think it's really interesting. I think the main thing that I've been thinking a lot about is we've been all put in this situation, and we're the lucky ones. We haven't got ill. Although I think you said you were a bit sick.
Yeah.
And I have had friends who have been ill, but touch wood, we haven't lost close family members. And our thoughts go out to all those people who have lost someone, or who are working incredibly hard on the front line. But I think those are all the negative things. But I sort of encourage everyone to think about all the positive things that have come out of this. And it's hard to call them positive, but what has it taught us? And for me, it's taught me that we were living too fast, we were living too dangerously and too unsustainably. We were, I was on a train twice a week going to meetings, just burning up the atmosphere. And what I've learned is I can have those meetings, I can have them online, and I can save a lot of carbon, and I can look at my habits, and I can really do something. And I think the world is telling us, I think nature is telling us, this came from nature, and I think she's saying, guys, I can keep you indoors, if you misbehave. So I think the last thought I would have is to say to everyone, keep going. It will end this hectic part, but it will change us forever. And please think about whatever you do, whether you're an architect or a nurse or a driver or whatever thing. How can we take a positive from this? How can we make the world a truly better place by learning some of the things that we've learned during this crisis? And let's really try and save our planet, because we were not sustainable, man. We were really not. We were not going to make it to 2050 or 2070. So let's use this as a turning around. It's a reboot. It's a reboot for the planet.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Ron. You've been an amazing guest, and I loved hearing your music and discussing your music. If you just stay with us for a few more seconds. So this wraps up AGA session number 2. We've got another one on Thursday, which should be interesting, with my brother Paul, who's a psychoanalyst. So he has to go through changes in the way he meets his patients. So I think that will be another interesting discussion. So same time, 8:30 on Thursday. Ron, thanks a lot. Be safe. And Eco, thank you for assisting with all the technical side.
She's refusing to come on camera, but I have to say a big thank you to my tech, my wife,
the roadie and everything.
She's not a roadie, man. She's like film head of filming and sound and encouragement.
Okay. All right, take care, Ron, and stay safe.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you for doing this series. It's really, I think it's a really, really good thing. So God bless you, man.
Thank you very much. Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
This session will be added to our Instagram TV, so you can watch it again later or forward it to anyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Amos.